It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag Utah Jazz.
Clarkson trying to get free from Booker. Takes a right-hand dribble lane. Hesitates. Tries to skip it. Oh, my. Got it through traffic. On an overhead two-hand bullet. Down low. Filipowski with an amazing catch and finish. Deontay in the front court. Right side Sexton. 4-3. No. Damn follow by John Collins. Soaring in from Hill Air Force Base and packing it home.
The Utah Jazz lose to the Phoenix Suns 120-112. No Kevin Durant, no Nurkic, no problem. Phoenix gets 31 points from Devin Booker. Not really surprised, PK. Maybe a little surprised that Filipowski and Collins rang up the numbers they rang up, but other than that, pretty much what you expected.
Oh, I have no expectations. So to me, it's all about what Filipowski did. They've got themselves a player there. I couldn't care less about anything else. It's nothing about the present. It's all about the future, and he's showing himself to be a player, and that's exciting.
Filipowski, 18 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks in 23 minutes. So, made his presence felt.
Yeah.
The Jazz, they are playing the Dallas Mavericks tomorrow night at the Delta Center. Next up, DJ and PK.
Hashtag NBA.
Tatum against Nance. Tatum switches to the left hand. Now tries the right. Push pass out is a bad one. Derek White catches off balance. Tough three is good. It's impossible to do.
Cunningham, nobody's guarding him. In it comes. Duran dunks it. Oh, my. Unbelievable. In 0.7 of a second, they tied the game at 121. The Pistons are walking off the court. Who called timeout?
Oh, no. The referee is saying that Coach Spo has called a timeout, and that's a technical foul as the Heat are out of timeouts.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy is right.
Curry gets Doncic again. Screen by Draymond. Curry gets Lively again.
He wants a three.
Yes, he does. Backs up, shoots a deep three over Lively. It's good! It's good!
Highlights around the NBA. Eric Spoelstra calling a timeout he didn't have. You don't see that every day. Pistons hit those free throws on the technical foul and beat the Heat 123-121. Miami, ripping defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yeah, it was a great night in the NBA. The Detroit won and Portland won. That's what I'm talking about.
The downtrodden won and left the Jazz alone. Yes.
I mean, really, that's all that matters here.
That really is. That's what matters to the top of the league. Can go do what it does, but that doesn't really impact the Jazz one way or another.
We got to get Toronto.
Toronto seems serious about losing, don't they? Blown out by the Bucks, the shorthanded Bucks, 99-85. And Toronto drops to 2-10.
Yeah, I'm worried about them.
A real threat. Losers of 5 in a row.
Yeah.
Blazers blew out the Timberwolves 122-108. Win number 4 for Portland. They're winning a third of their games, and quite frankly, the Jazz can beat that.
I mean, you look at Toronto, they got some bad players. I'm nervous.
Who is so awful that you're frightened?
Abaje. My guy that I followed in college, Grady Dick, now his second year. See what he can do. Still only like 20 years old, so it's ridiculous to put any big-time expectations on him. They picked up Jacoby Walter in the draft at Baylor. Just a kid himself, 20 years old. Hopefully they play those guys a lot, like the Jazz are doing, to develop them for their sakes. Although I would like to... Isn't Barnes out? Didn't he have an injury? He was their best player, right?
I'm going to have to follow Toronto closer.
Yeah, so I'm a little worried about them. Yeah, I know he had an injury. He's only played like 4 games, and he got hurt.
Knee injury.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're going to lose a bunch of games because he's their best player. He'll be obviously sitting out marketing.
Hawks beat the Celtics 117-116. Didn't see that coming, but Atlanta got 100 shots in the game. That is so many unbelievable shots in one
NBA game in November. What do you mean you didn't see that coming?
100 shots. That's a lot of shots.
Apparently you're impressed by 100 shots.
Celtics, 3 games behind the undefeated Cleveland Cavaliers in the East. And Klay Thompson, Warriors pay tribute to him as he returns to play Golden State. The Mavericks come to town. And Golden State gets the win 120-117. As Steph Curry puts together a good game, and the Warriors 9-2, tied for the best record in the West. Anthony Davis has been cleared to play after suffering the eye injury. Saw an ophthalmologist. Precautionary. He's ready to go against Memphis.
Well, that's good, because if he couldn't see one, then you'd have that eye trouble, right?
Exactly. Logically, I see what you did there.
Right, you got to be able to see it.
Rock solid logic.
If you can't see him, then you've got a serious issue there.
DJ PK.
Hashtag college basketball.
They lob inside to Dickinson, backing down, turns, shoots, got it! Big bucket with the left-hand hook for Big Hunter Dickinson.
Andrew Carr, top of the circle, dribbles over to his left, comes back to his right, goes down deep, pump fake, goes up, and scores! Yes, and a foul!
Highlights from college hoops is number 1 ranked Kansas beats Michigan State 77-69, and Kentucky beats Duke 77-72. A little made-for-TV doubleheader with some big brand names and highly ranked teams. Mark Pope is Kentucky off to a 3-0 start. And the watch. What is Cooper Flagg doing? 26 points, 12 boards. He did have 2 late turnovers that helped Kentucky seal the deal and win 77-72.
Oh, worse than that. I got the Majerus ringing in my ear. He didn't block out on a missed free throw.
Aha!
That's 1,000 times worse.
Worse than the turnovers.
Yeah.
Utah 3-0. They blew out Queens from North Carolina 96-65. Gabe Madsen, 24 points in the second half.
Unstoppable.
Got any first-hand observations from that, baby?
Who are these guys? Madsen seems like he's been around forever. I don't know what they got. You know, a lot of new guys there. Obviously this is a scheduled win. They picked 16th in the conference, but the Sun Devils were picked 16th in football. What does it mean? I'm not sure. I don't think this is an NCAA tournament team. It would surprise me. But with all the newness and everything, let's see what they have. I mean, there's no buzz. I mean, the arena was so sparsely attended there with the game. And I know somebody who's on the other team. I know the family. That's why I went. And even they commented, one aunt leans to me, man, is this the way it always is? I said, nah, it's the way it is recently. And they'll go to the game because they play BYU tonight. Well, I said, will it be that way tomorrow? No. Oh, no.
BYU will be totally different.
Yeah, the student section will be jammed. It won't be, I could count the students, literally count them all. So they got to get a buzz going. They certainly don't have it, whereas BYU does. But I'm not going to count them out because I don't have enough information given the players
newness of the roster.
Yeah. So I want to see. We'll be following it, obviously, as the weeks go on and get into conference play. I mean, the fact that they're playing teams that they should beat, good for them. I'm not going to criticize them because once they get to conference play, they don't need to worry about beefing up the schedule. The schedule will take care of itself.
Queens is going back-to-back after losing to Utah. They are at the Marriott Center tonight, 7 o'clock, ESPN Plus to play the Cougars. Bethesda got blown out by Southern Utah, 107-54, and they're at Utah Tech tonight at 7 o'clock. They're going back-to-back. Utah State is taking on Westminster tonight, 7 o'clock. Coverage starts at 6:30 on The Zone.
Is this the Stu Morrill Classic?
The Stu Morrill Classic. Okay, one potentially competitive game. Weber State is at Nevada. Game tips off in Reno at 8 o'clock. That one you can watch on the Mountain West Network. Other than that, we got a bunch of blowouts. Maybe we'll have one there, too. We'll see. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NFL.
I hate to say it, man. It's like Aaron Rodgers has completely sucked the air out of the building. And I think so many guys are deferring to who he is in their minds. And in their minds and in my mind, he is a first ballot Hall of Fame player. But, since he has come here over the last 2 years, every player on this team, I feel like, has deferred everything to him.
That is Boomer Esiason and his analysis of what has gone wrong as the Jets have dropped to 3-7 and lost 6 of their last 7 games. Inexplicably, they beat the Texans. But other than that, it's been a disaster. Nowhere near playoff consideration, struggling along at 3-7. Chicago Bears fired their offensive coordinator Shane Waldron. The team's struggling. Head coach Matt Eberflus's own status is in question. Waldron was hired less than 10 months ago to work with top pick Caleb Williams. It's not going well. Is he going to get on the Alex Smith train and just start getting... when Alex went to San Francisco, he had a new offensive coordinator every year. Is Caleb Williams going to end up with the same thing in Chicago? 10 months in, here comes the second OC.
I don't know. Has anybody succeeded with that? We always hear that it's a negative. Yeah. But how many did John Elway have, and how many did Brady seem to have? A few as they got coaching jobs and all. I don't know enough. Is that really the issue?
49ers gave their top corner, Diomedor Lenore, a 5-year, $92 million contract extension. Pile of money for him. And it's official, Dak Prescott is done for the year. The partial avulsion of his hamstring, it pulled part of the tendon away from the bone. That just sounds bad. So he's out for the year. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college football.
Honestly, I got like a ritual. Like when we lose, I ain't even getting a shower till early this morning. I just be mad. I just brush my teeth. But it's like I don't deserve soap. I don't deserve to do all that. I'm just focused on like trying to get back and trying to make sure that our players mentally understand and know that I let them down, that they didn't do it.
That is a heck of a quote right there from Fran Brown, who doesn't deserve soap. Hygiene out the window.
Well, when they lose, you literally can say he stinks.
Excellent point.
Yeah.
They don't lose that often. They're 6-3. 3-3 in conference. So
soap is for winners.
Soap is for winners. Coffee is for closers, and soap is for winners.
I understand where you came from.
Yeah.
Mom had soap. She had everything for. In fact, she said, "Did you bathe today, David?" Yeah. But Brown was born and raised in Camden, New Jersey.
There it is.
And you don't even know if he got soap. So you take nothing for granted because every day is a struggle. And Camden is a low-income area. So Fran Brown has had to fight for everything he's got. And I wish him the best of success here. And he's going to tell it like it is, man. This guy he's only 42 years old, but he's been around. And he's had to scratch and claw. He's a success story. And they are 6-3, so that's like they're bad.
Syracuse has had some down times. There was a time they were really good, but that time's in the rearview mirror. So 6-3 is good work.
Right.
Brandon Rhodes suffered a lower leg injury, needs surgery. Kyle Whittingham says he's done for the year. That means Isaac Wilson and Luke Batari are the last two quarterbacks available to the University of Utah.
I hope that Isaac Wilson just goes out there and lights it up, man. I really do. I'm rooting hard for this youngster to go in there and just show everybody, hey, I'm good. I know people were down on me. I got benched. I got yo-yoed. You know, I found out 20 minutes before Oklahoma State that I was starting, which can't be good, but yet he played pretty good. Now that team turns out to be, speaking of stinking, so he's got 3 games here, and if they win 2, he's got 4, man. I just hope he just really, really kicks some big-time butt.
Goes out there and tears up. Colorado this week, good test, chance to beat a ranked team.
That would be so cool for
That'd
me.
be a sweet story if they pull that off.
I'm rooting hard.
He makes some big throws, and they have a happy plane flight home.
Extends plays with his legs, just like he did in Stillwater, only better, obviously, because you're going to need it. Because it's going to be hard to keep Colorado off the scoreboard because they've got a really, really good offense. It's legit. I mean, they really haven't beaten anybody of serious note by any stretch. But I don't care about that. I believe that Shedeur is really good, and obviously Hunter speaks for himself. So let's see what they can do.
BYU, perfect 9-0, climbing 3 spots in the College Football Playoff Committee's rankings. They move up from number 9 to number 6 and are projected as the 3rd seed because they're being projected as the conference champ right now. And PK, that was probably about the most any Cougar fan could have hoped for right there.
Yeah, but they're not going to beat Tennessee. They're going to beat Alabama. Shut the bleep up. And I'm not saying HE double hockey sticks either. It doesn't matter. They're not playing those teams. The ranking is based on who you played, not subjectively who you might play and would you win. And if that's the case, then just rank the same teams every year. Because at no point are we going to say in the next recent future, or recent past, in the immediate future, is Alabama going to lose to Utah or BYU on a projection, not an actual game. We're not talking about a game. We're talking about a projection.
Thank you, Alan.
Drives me nuts when I see those arguments. Then why have a freaking poll? Because you're always going to pick Tennessee to beat, except when they played, they didn't. But, the program's in a better spot now, and historically Tennessee's better. I get all that. But that's not what the rankings are about. It's the work that you've done, not the projection of who would beat whom if they played.
Who's beaten more ranked teams? Who has the worst losses? And BYU doesn't have a loss. So why should Tennessee be in front of them?
Oh, because they're better. They'd beat them.
Tennessee lost to Arkansas. Not a good look.
They darn well might beat them, but who cares? We'll probably most likely never know.
Doesn't look like right now they'd be seated to meet each other, but there's still 3 weeks to go, and the new results will dictate new opinions from the committee. Who might change their mind? There really wasn't a result that... Was there anything that happened on the field that should have moved BYU past Tennessee, or did the committee realize, we messed that up?
What do you mean that moved BYU past Tennessee? What are you talking about?
Because BYU was behind Tennessee, and now they moved in front of them. But it's not because Tennessee had a bad loss or BYU beat a ranked team.
But it's a rivalry game, and the rivalry is respected. So, yes, I think there has been.
The other teams they climbed past, they moved past Miami, and they moved past Georgia. Those teams both lost. University of Oklahoma gave Brett Venables a vote of confidence. Oklahoma's 5-5 and 1-5 in the SEC. Looks like they got a decent chance of losing the last 2 games and not being bowl eligible, and Oklahoma has much, much higher hopes than that. USC football program has been fined $50,000 and placed on 1-year probation because of violation of on- and off-field coaching activities. The NCAA found the USC exceeded the permissible number of accountable coaches by 6 during the 2022 and 23 seasons as they allowed analysts and graduate assistants to coach. That's now legal, but in those seasons, it wasn't.
Legal?
Yes.
Congress passed a law.
Congress passed a law, and you will be locked up.
Legal.
You're going to go in the Who's Gal at Palos Verdes.
Oh, stupid. Who cares?
DJ and PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
Tropicana Field, the home of the Tampa Bay Rays, can be repaired for roughly $55 million. But the necessary repairs would not have the venue ready until the 2026 season. The Trop is slated to be demolished. They're going to build a new $1.3 billion stadium. This should be done by 2028. So the team and St. Petersburg city officials are expected to discuss their options in a meeting next week.
Yeah, I'm not an economist, but spending $55 million on something that you're going to tear down seems awfully stupid to me.
So move to a minor league ballpark or a spring training site in the area for the next 3 years.
Or just stop playing.
The Rays just go on hiatus, loan their players out. We have buys in Major League Baseball.
They tend to do that anyway.
As 29 teams go forward.
Yeah. Get them a retractable thing because there's a lot of afternoon rains over there at that time of year and all that stuff, and away we go.
Have Oakland and Tampa Bay playing have the Athletics and the Rays playing in minor league facilities, wherever, Sacramento and wherever the Rays finish.
What big deal? The Dodgers played in the Coliseum and it was 200 feet down the left field line.
Yeah, they made it work until they got Dodger Stadium built.
Right.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag NHL.
Utah Hockey Club back in action tonight, playing the Carolina Hurricanes, who are one of the better teams in the league, certainly in the top 5 or 6, maybe better than that. They play tonight at the Delta Center. Carolina, 11 wins, only 3 losses. Puck drop set for 7 o'clock. Hockey night in Utah with Adrian Denny starts at 6 o'clock right here on The Zone.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the Bear does with rotations and lines to get more offense.
Talking about mixing up the number 1 line.
Because this team, and we've only been following it here for a short time.
15 games in.
Has really been super interesting because some nights the offense looks really good, and other nights the defense looks really good, and they haven't been able to put it together to a level of consistency, which is reflective of the record, obviously, which it normally does. So, in a sense, they're playing true to the results. They're not playing over their head or you don't hear under their head. Whatever what's the expression?
Play under your.
You've heard you're playing over their heads. You've heard that, but what's the
playing over your head?
The flip side of it.
Underperforming.
Yeah. So they really, in terms of you are who you are, this is really true. And if they can find a way to put it together, and they don't say both sides of the puck, huh? You know how they do both sides of the
sides of the ball.
Both sides of the ice, I guess.
They've got to play complementary hockey. That's what it comes down to.
But, yeah. So that's one of the things I'll be following. I was listening to Armstrong yesterday with the besties, and that's what he was talking about as I try to educate myself more. I'm not going to try to fool listeners like I'm some form of expert in hockey here. But I don't think, at least from a workable standpoint, it's that hard to get yourself up to speed to know what's going on.
Right.
You know, the intricacies and then the league, that's another story. But what this team is doing, if you just pay a little bit of attention, I think you can get a good feel for what's going on, and then listen and read what they're saying and writing and all that stuff.
Yep. And it makes sense that they would try to find some different combinations, maybe find a little chemistry. The whole thing, the sum is greater than the whole of the parts and all that stuff.
Oh, we're going back to Ute basketball in the 90s.
Nah, I messed that up, but I always messed it up, so you know what I meant. And they don't have it. They got 41 goals and like 26th, 27th best in the league. They need more goals. Got to find it.
Well, for me, it was the other way because my parts were better than the sum.
Nice. All right, there you go. What is trending? Brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. DJ and PK coming up this morning. Riley Jensen joins us at 8 o'clock. College football expert, mental performance coach. Brian Al, Colorado Buffaloes beat writer for Buff Zone and the Boulder Daily Camera at 9 o'clock. Get the lowdown on a team that is suddenly very interesting to both the Utes and the Cougars. The Utes' next opponent, and a team that right now BYU is on track to face in the Big 12 title game with 3 weeks to go. We'll talk with Brian Howell coming up at 9 o'clock. DJ and PK, the question of the day is next.
Another edition of the Holy War is in the books. And your home for all the best coverage of another chapter of BYU versus Utah was right here on the KSL Sports Zone.
Retzlaff goes down. Reed got to him. There is a flag in the secondary. I think this one's going against Utah.
Defense number 5. 10-yard penalty.
Whoa.
Automatic first down.
Tough way to lose a ball game. Unfortunate way to lose a ball game. Proud of our guys. Proud of our players. They battled. They should hold their heads high. It's not on them. They played hard. They did everything they could from start to finish, and I'm proud of them. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that it turned out the way it did.
As we enter the stretch run of the 24th season, the best coverage of the Utes and Cougars is on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hot Texas Toast brought to you by Siegfried & Jensen with 30 years of serving Utah. Well, we just covered it in What is Trending. BYU moving from number 9 to number 6. Cougar fans, is that good enough? You want more? You like it? It makes you a little nervous? What are you thinking?
What is this?
Where are you? How you hanging on?
Cone stole here. You like it? You love it? Want a little more of it?
Sing it.
It's a song? Thought it was an ice cream.
Mike dismisses the whole conversation. It only matters if they make it to the conference championship game and lose.
What's that mean?
Whether they're ranked 6th or 7th or whatever, if you win the conference championship game, you're the conference champ, you're guaranteed top 4.
Okay, well, why doesn't it matter if you win? Why it only matters if you lose? I disagree 100%. Because you want to go as far as you can, and the fact is, you're going to play Ohio State at 5. You'd much rather be 3.
So the fact that you're undefeated and you passed Miami and they were penalized for losing, which I think a lot of people assume, but you never know what the committee thinks until you see what they think.
I mean, there's 2 guarantees in this thing, 1 and 5.
The Big Ten champ is going to be number 1, and it's going to be Oregon or Ohio State. And the other team
I think
is going to be number 5.
And then I think Ohio State's going to be 5. Yeah. So it's a big deal. I don't think it just matters if you lose. If you lose, well, then you have to be voted in. If you win, you don't have to be voted in. You own it. You've earned it. It's yours. It's rightly yours. You didn't inherit it. It wasn't given to you, so you weren't born on third base and think you hit a triple and start running your mouth. If you win it, then everything you've gotten has been earned. You owe nobody anything. They didn't give you a favor.
Well, they seed them 3rd instead of 4th if they win the Big 12.
Yes.
Right now it looks that way.
If they win out.
If they win out, right.
Not just because you can lose.
Well, if they lose one of the next 3, they could still go to Arlington, win that, be the conference champ, but at 12-1, how would they rank them?
I would think if they lose only one game, they will go. If they finish the last 2,
right. If they win 2 of 3,
last 3, 2-1,
right.
They will go. So the idea is to go 4-0, which, man, is an awfully big ask. There's no doubt about it. But nevertheless, that's what they're going to be asked to do. I mean, who knows? They've got, really, to me, however many games they've got left, that's how many tough games they have.
Because now the pressure's on.
Yeah. And it's been on. And they've put themselves in the position to have this pressure. It's what you want. But literally every game they've got left, I don't know that any game, I think that they can go in and say,
they're just going to walk in the park and stroll through that thing.
Not even Houston at the end.
Nope.
I don't believe that. And then obviously the conference title game and then the playoff game, or whatever it might be. Yes. So this is the most interesting time in the history of BYU football.
Topping?
Nothing.
It tops 1984.
It tops everything I meant. I've said nothing, but I meant everything. You name it, and it tops it. Because 84, and it's so far gone now, no one really talks about it anymore. But I don't need some other coach to go on the Today Show and say Bo Diddley Tech. And no.
Because you'll play at a 12-team playoff now.
Every freaking thing that you can accomplish can be earned. That's what's so sweet. You know, you got people like they're trying to justify. What was I listening to? I was watching a game. It was Ole Miss and Georgia.
Uh-huh.
And they were talking about Charlie Weiss Jr. Because he's the quarterback's coach. And he may be the greatest quarterback's coach in the history of college football.
But, you know, given his dad, he had a leg up getting that first job.
Yeah.
When nobody's proven anything.
Right. The door was flung wide the freak open. And you can run through it and own it and be the greatest. But still, the door was wide open. If Steve Klauke Sr. was an ex-player or whatever, we could have been talking about Steve Klauke, the late, great Steve Klauke.
The voice of the Seattle Mariners, or the San Diego Padres, or
for 30 years.
Arizona Diamondbacks.
Right, for 30 years, because he had just as much talent, if not more, than anybody else I'd been around. And I worked side by side with him on many Bees broadcasts for television. But there wasn't a door that was wide open. And that's what being voted is in. Those teams are going to get the edge, the ones that have the favored history. Whereas BYU can win this, and 84, you can stick 84. Because they can go and win everything that they want. That's what's so sweet about this, man.
Well, Jeff wants it to be a little sweeter, because he thinks the 6th-ranked Cougars should be the 5th-ranked Cougars. I don't get why Indiana is as high as they are.
Doesn't matter.
The schedule isn't very good.
Well, the ranking on this spiel, it's more about the placement than the ranking.
And what is the difference between the placement and the ranking?
Well, 3 and 6. If the season ended today, they'd have the 3 seed. So the seed is more important.
Because Indiana would not be the Big Ten champ.
Right.
They would be down among the at-large teams
Indiana
between 5
has
and
the
12.
same opportunity as BYU. They can tell everybody to stick it.
Indiana beats Ohio State, and they win out. They'll be in the Big 12 title game playing Oregon. Beat Oregon. And now
they'd be number 1.
You go to number 1.
Yeah.
Oregon goes to 5. Ohio State, well, we'll see what they do
6.
with them. Maybe, but they'd have 2 losses, so maybe not.
Yeah, that's what's cool about
Although,
Indiana.
I'm not ruling that out. I mean, there could be a bunch of 2-loss teams, and then Ohio State would be the highest.
This gal was on your TV right now. This Heather lady was talking about yesterday that don't rule out 3-loss SEC teams. Let's not rule out 5-loss SEC teams for that matter. How many teams are in the SEC? I don't know how many.
16 now.
16.
Just have your own 16-team playoff.
Nope, Kentucky can't come. It's 15. Sorry, Kentucky, you have to sit over there on the sideline. We're not letting you in.
Vanderbilt is celebrating wildly.
Just
now.
have their own. They just have their own playoff. One plays 16 and so forth and so on, and away you go.
Sounds pretty good to the SEC. They'll probably sign up for that tomorrow.
I don't know if they can get a TV network. They would.
It would
be today.
We're out.
To give them all that kind of cash. So these 2 teams here, Indiana, BYU, in a sense, I'm rooting for them. Indiana, I'd root for them every game. BYU, I'm a little torn. There might be one game it's going to be hard for me to root for them.
Arizona State.
Yeah, I do have the allegiance there.
Game 11.
But I've long since rectified and dealt with that. My rooting has zero effect on anything, so I just sit and watch the game. It doesn't matter.
There you go.
Right.
Once you get somewhere around watching your 2 millionth game, you realize that. Wait a minute, what am I doing here?
Yeah, I think I learned that early on. So they'll play each other next week. I'll be there, and I'll just watch the game, and whatever happens, happens, and my life will go on. But, yeah, the ranking, number 6, I thought last week was
low,
disgenerous, and this is generous. I'm 100% fine. Yeah, you can argue 5, but you're splitting hairs at this point. Who cares?
Did you think they were going to be 7 behind Tennessee?
I thought that was probably the logical.
Yeah.
So I was a little pleasantly surprised because now they're in where they need to be, and you've established your ceiling. You won't go higher. And if you lose, you go lower. But if you win, you'll stay at that 3 seed. They will not bump you. They're right where they need and want to be because they're not going to get the 1 or 2. It's just not going to happen.
Big Ten and SEC have been ticketed for that since they announced this format.
In 1980. And whenever they change the format, if they do, it'll still be that way.
Tennessee's behind them now, but if Tennessee beats Georgia this week, they may well jump them again. But it won't matter.
It won't
because of your point about the placing,
the seeding,
the ranking versus the seeding.
Right. So they've achieved in terms of seeding their ceiling. Now the key is to maintain it. And if they maintain it, it's the greatest story in BYU history.
There are people locked into that right now.
Because nobody will say, well, who did you play? No.
No, because ultimately you'll get to play everybody who matters.
Yeah, yes, and you'll play, to me right now, I would say, if I'm handicapping it for what it's worth, Colorado or K-State.
In the Big 12 title game.
Yeah. And whomever that team is will be ranked. They will have a ton, and especially for publicity's sake, you'd want it to be Dion because he's a magnet for that stuff.
Yeah, we know what Brett Yormark's wishing for.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
that celebrity.
Well, it's
all
entertainment.
That sizzle.
It's a TV show. It goes back to why I don't get worked up on results and wins and losses because it's a TV show. It's an entertainment. To me, it's just like a movie. It's entertainment. For others, your fans, I understand all that, but that's my philosophy on this and why I slough it off and just roll, win or lose. And you will have played a ranked team, another ranked team, and then you got SMU over here is your trump card that you can hang your hat on. You want the Methodists to continue to continue to win. And I don't think that they're going to have a roadblock. Maybe in the title game.
Don't know what'll happen there. Got a bunch of 5 and 4 teams down the stretch.
Yeah. So
not good, but not bad. Just a big dose of mediocre. And SMU has shown they can handle those teams.
Yeah. So BYU has everything right in front of their faces. And I want to say all they got to do to win, but all they got to do to win is the toughest thing that this program has ever been asked to do.
Win on this stage in this spotlight against teams that want to wreck you, want to be the spoiler, and are bringing it.
Starting Saturday night.
You're not sneaking up on anybody.
And then Saturday afternoon, 1:30 next week. That'll be about as much exposure as you could ever want. 15 years ago, they're playing on the mountain. They might as well have been playing literally on a mountain, and nobody could see you. Now, you're going to be playing this week, next week. You'll have tons of exposure. Everything your program stands for will be on full display. And now with social media out there, you put out there, and you have Kalani talking about Jesus after the game. What parent isn't going to love that?
DJ PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Coming up, Riley Jensen talking college football at the top of the hour. Are the Utes jinxed? That is next. Stay with us.
Another edition of the Holy War is in the books. And your home for all the best coverage of another chapter of BYU versus Utah was right here on the KSL Sports Zone.
Now BYU to the line. Retzloff is going to jump up top. Touchdown! Just enough to get over the first offensive touchdown of the night for BYU. Snap, hold, kick, on the way. Kick is good! The game was over, and somehow BYU, given new life, has a 1-point lead and is 3 seconds away from improving to 9-0.
Once I handed the ball off to LJ, I knew he'd secure it, get what he can, and it was time for a big game Bill to go out there and put it to the uprights. And so I handed the ball off, watched the play finish, and then turn around and found 44 and run out to the field and said, go get it, baby. You know, he did it.
As we enter the stretch run of the 24th season, the best coverage of the Utes and Cougars is on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The band of the day is Huey Lewis and the News. Drummer Bill Gibson celebrating his 73rd birthday. It's brought to you by Live Nation. For all the live concerts and events in 2024, check out livenation.com.
Now, you know him as Huey Lewis. I know him as Hugh Craig III.
That's good. I'm glad you knew him back in the day.
Well, he went to high school in New Jersey.
There it is.
In case you're wondering, in a state in which he was all-state baseball player. Did you know that?
I did.
All-state baseball.
Came up in some profile because for a while he, as a big sports fan, and I guess the other guys in the band, pretty big sports fans too, it seemed like they sang anthems at all the big events, and somebody wrote something at some point about it.
They are big golfers. He was getting married in Hawaii on the island of Maui, my favorite place in the whole world, recognizing that I have not been to any place in Europe and any of those other continents for that matter.
Asia, Africa, Australia?
No.
South America?
No.
Okay.
And his future mother-in-law and wife were going to go on the beach, and he decided to go over to Kapalua, rent some clubs, and give it a try.
He gave it a try at
Yeah.
Kapalua.
Hold on, what?
True story. True story.
Kapalua, I might as well give it a try.
He didn't want to go to the beach that day. And Kapalua is right there. I've played that course, covered the tournament last year, interviewed Tony Finau there, and played it several times. A couple times with Bill Marcroft.
So he got hooked.
Well, and he said, it should be okay. He's given an interview, and I read this, obviously. He said, I had decent hand-eye coordination as a kid. I played a little baseball. And then in parentheses, I remember the story says, he's being modest. He was all-state as a state baseball. If you're all-state, I don't care what state it is.
You got to have something.
You're good, right? You're good enough at that level. Maybe not at the higher levels, but at that level. So, yeah, he gives it a try, and then he becomes hooked, as golf can do. Golf can be about as addictive as any sport there is.
An obsession.
It can be. Yeah. People who golf know what I'm talking about. And we got plenty of golfers around here. Yeah. And then if you start hitting some good shots, it takes you over. And you want more of it. It's the cleanest, healthiest drug you can have. And then if you get into gambling and all that, that's another story. I'm just talking about
just playing golf.
Yeah. Right. You're outside. You're usually with people you like. And
that's a good combination right there.
Yeah. Minimally, you getting some form of exercise, even if you have a cart. You still have to walk.
Right. Usually you're in a pretty place.
Yeah.
Bunch of trees, well manicured.
I try to
grass,
walk as much as possible, even when I have a cart, to try to get as much.
Get some steps in.
But if you hit a good golf shot,
oh, it feels good.
It does, man. It gets in your blood.
Okay, you can do it 1 time out of 10. Now can you do it 1 time out of 5? Can you do it 1 time out of 3?
Yeah, right.
How about 2 out of 3?
And it's a sport that demands frequency. I was listening to Schauffele the other day on the Golf Channel. They were talking about what you're going to do. You know, he had a real good breakthrough season this year. And he's talking about what's he going to do in the offseason. He said, well, I wasn't really sure. He said, we had the 2 majors, and so what does that mean, blah, 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 going forward? How do you build on it? You know, how much time are you going to take off? He said, I don't know for sure what my plans are, but the one thing I know is if I don't swing a club 3 weeks, it feels like I've never swung a club. And this is a premier
You're
guy.
like at the top. There's Scotty Scheffler is the only person who could be better, who said he had a better year.
Right. Yeah. And so he said, I don't know if I'll play, what I'll do, but I'm pretty sure I won't go 3 weeks without swinging a club because I can't. I don't want to lose what I've been able to accomplish. So, yeah. So Huey Lewis and his band, I don't know, are they still out there banding? And this was a while ago. This is probably 15 years ago when I read the story.
He had some voice issues. I don't think they performed.
It was ear.
Oh, was it ear? Okay. But he hadn't performed in a long time.
That caused...
Oh, ear caused the voice stuff?
Yeah, because he couldn't hear as well to be able to...
They stopped performing a while ago.
I saw him at that new Eccles Theater downtown. It's not new anymore. Just a spectacular venue. Just really awesome. So, but he being a golfer, and it doesn't surprise me that it got in his blood, and he continues, or did continue. I don't know that he can. I think he's only, would you say his band was 75? So he's probably the same age. If you got your health, you can still golf. I golf with a 75-year-old every week during the season, and he's an outstanding player. You've golfed with him, too, haven't you? Yeah.
All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. We didn't get to the Utes being jinxed, but another...
we got time?
Another quarterback. You just said break.
Well, I don't mean right this second.
Oh, next with Riley Jensen. We got a former quarterback injuries.
And we got after that. We
got time.
I'm contractually obligated to be here till 10.
DJ and PK, Riley's coming up next right here on 97.5 The Zone.